Now comes the stage where the spiritual cultivation of the heart begins. The spiritual guide will advise you for inscription of God's name on the heart. Now we're going to cultivate the spiritual heart. The baby is awakened. The food is going to be provided. The heart has started producing divine energy. So we are worry free now. Akuna Matata. Now comes the stage where the spiritual cultivation of the heart begins. The spiritual guide will advise you for inscription of God's name on the heart. Inscription is the act of inscribing the name. To inscribe. Look, I inscribed the word heart. I mean, one logical argument of inscribing God's name on the heart could be the fact that this heart belongs to God. But that's not the case. Because God will recognize your heart as long as it's shiny. The only reason why visualization and inscription of God's name is important and crucial is that it will bring more divine energy than the amount which is already being produced in your heart. To visualize God's name on the heart. Why? Because God's name has raw divine energy in it. When we visualize God's name, the divine energy emanates from God's name. And our eyes absorb the divine energy which is emanating from God's name. And we keep doing it. It's like we eat food every day, but still we have some deficiencies in our body. Deficiencies of different types of vitamins like B12, B6, or maybe deficiency of vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin K. Different deficiencies, although we eat food every day. So how we get rid of this deficiency? By taking vitamin supplements. We take vitamin supplements and the deficiency is gone. So although God's name, the mystical formula, has been implanted in the heart and heart is now producing divine energy, but maybe it's not enough to awaken the awakened heart to grow with a steady speed. In order to ensure and speed up the process of the spiritual growth of the heart, visualization of God's name ensures that the heart is ready for its functions in no time. When God's name is invoked inside the heart, visualization of God's name on the screen of the heart is at least 1,000 times more beneficial. So this is the heart, and divine energy is being produced via permanent, constant remembrance of God. Now comes visualization. 2 eyes. Visualizing God's name. Divine energy is being produced. Extra bit of divine energy is added to the heart. It's like Brother Steve is in full-time job and he brings home 800 pounds. If Misbah also starts making money and she brings another 800 pounds, life will become a little easier. Now there are 2 people making money. Similarly, the heart is generating divine energy because God's name is permanently being invoked upon inside the heart. With the visualization, the eyes will absorb divine energy which emanates from God's name. Now what will happen? The heart is not sending divine energy to the body, but the eyes will distribute divine energy to the body and the heart also. So this visualization is very, very important. Some people visualize God's name. Some others visualize the face of their spiritual guide. It's not the face or the name. The real object of visualization is attainment of divine energy. Whichever is easy for you, or whichever gives you more divine energy. Some people visualize the face of their guide. Now it depends on guide. Some guides have God's name in them, and some guides have God in them. So if your guide has God in him, then forget about the name of God. Visualize the face of your guide, which is powerful than God's name, because he has God in him. Now it depends who your guide is. So visualization will render to you inscription of God's name on your heart. You visualize that with your index finger, you are inscribing God's name. You will do this practice for a period of time until God's name starts to hover around your eyes. You will close your eyes and you see, oh, God's name is floating here and there. That's when you stop doing it. Then close your eyes and transfer God's name, which is now stored in your eyes, transfer God's name onto your heart. And the moment you see God's name has landed and is now perched at the screen of your heart is cultivated. Sarkar Gohar Shahi said, پھر لکھے گا کاتب نوری حروف سے اللہ دل پہ تو پھر کھیتی تیار ہو گئی. So the moment God's name is now visible on your heart is cultivated. When the heart is cultivated, it has reached its age of adulthood. Now your heart is like a young man or young woman. What it means is, it can now function anything that it is supposed to.